Right. I am recording because Asil is traveling today. She's at 30,000 feet right now or whatever. She's on her way back to the States from Oman, and she asked me to record it for her. Carol's at the airport, and I don't know where Michael is, but he's been missing lately. I'll try to catch up with him later. So I do have an agenda, and I'm going to try to stick to it today. Shirts. Shakti, please review the shirts, see what you like, because we'd be glad to buy you a shirt or two. You know, you can wear an embroidered shirt on your Zoom meetings, or if you happen to go somewhere in person. You know, you got an old shirt on. She needs new shirts, so. And Brooke, I just sent an email over to Embroidery Plus to see if they know where yours are. So if we can get this to you.
Awesome.
Okay. Now, Hotspots. Found out the best thing to do to help you with your intern access is just I'm picking up a couple of these hotspots. They are T-Mobile. So you need to be in a place where T-Mobile works, which I think you both are. Okay. I know that Cleveland is, and so is Tennessee. They're good T-Mobile hotspots. There's going to be one that's got 10 gigs and one that has 30 gigs of data. Now, they don't stop when you get to the limit. They just get what they call prioritized, which means slowed down. I've been told that a Zoom meeting burns about 1 gigabyte an hour. Okay, so someone who's going to go to 10 Zoom meetings a month, the 10 gig one would be fine for them. For someone who's going to go to more than 20, they'll need the 30 gig hotspot. So let me know if you need these for your apartment, or Brooke, I think you're going to need one. Is that right?
Definitely.
Okay, we'll probably for initially send you the 30 gig one.
Now, what about, using internet? So it burns that much using a Zoom, but what about like sending emails or?
Well, the video is by far the biggest hog of data. Okay.
Okay.
So if you're watching videos, you're going to burn up data. If you're on Zoom, you're not only burning up data receiving, but transmitting as well. So Zoom is probably the heaviest thing. If you're just browsing websites, looking at checking email, things like that, as long as you're not watching YouTube for 10 hours, you're not going to burn it up.
Awesome.
Okay. So that should be good. That anybody else have any questions about that? Any comments about that? Who's used the hotspot? Anybody here used one? Okay, so this is going to be new for us. I've never used one either. So I'm told it's better than Wi-Fi. It's better than standard Wi-Fi.
I've used them before. It just depends where you're at. Sometimes they could be slower than Wi-Fi. It just depends where you're at. It's like your cell phone. If you have good cell phone signal, then the hotspot's good.
Well, I mean, it is a cell phone, but it's dedicated to providing a Wi-Fi. So the T-Mobile guys, who of course are going to tell me it's great, say that it does a better hotspot than your phone does. Is that you will get a better Wi-Fi connection than just using your phone as a hotspot because it's dedicated to that. But you're saying, I agree with you, Claudia. If it's a place where there's not a good cell service, it's not going to do anything. It definitely requires cell service. Okay, hotspots, shirts. Okay, Shakti and Brooke, let me know what shirts. Claudia, you need a shirt?
I think I'm okay for now.
Okay. Me to know if you do. Okay, the next exciting item that we're doing for marketing is, let's see if I can find a picture. I have ordered 200 of these. I think I've shown them they're the space style space pen. They're not really a space pen. They have a little rubber thing for doing the screen here, and then on the other end there's a flashlight. Okay, with LEDs, and then you pull it open. It's got a very good, nice, smooth writing pen with black ink. It looks like the barrels are black. They're not. They're actually light gray, like this one. I mean, this one doesn't look that different, right? They look silver, but believe it or not, this side is actually a light gray, and this side is gunmetal silver. So they're good looking pens. If you, Claudia, you'll recognize them as the Sandler pens. So what I've decided is that you let me know how many you want. The first 5 are free. They actually cost me about $5 a piece. So if you want more than 5, let me know, that because I'll let you have them for $5.
I want one.
Oh, you'll get 5.
Oh, awesome.
Everybody's going to get 5. All right. So, but if you need more, help me out with the price a little bit, because they are expensive. This is the 200 was about $1,000. So just, but they're good things to hand to somebody, or somebody you'll be using it. I do this. I'll be writing when people go, "What's that pen? Let me see that pen," and I'll show it to them. They, "Oh, Sandler, what's that?" Then I end up doing a speech for Sandler. Now I want to do it. Oh, employeronomics. Then I can do a speech on employeronomics. Okay, so that's the pens. Now, one more item before we get into today's topic is the next intern class. It's been so successful with you 3, Shakti, Brooke, and Asil is on our way. We're going to do this again. So the next class starts on August 2nd and goes till October 29th. There are 2 levels. One is what you 2 are doing now, which is the basic sales associate. And the second level, I don't know if anybody's really ready for it yet, but I put it out there just in case, is for as a sales management track, where you'd be managing and working with other people, much like Carol is doing with you now. So Shakti, we got your application, you're approved. I just need to send you an updated contract, which I will. Brooke, if you would like to continue, let us know and send you the application so you can fill out. And of course, if you 2 know anyone else who you think would be a good candidate, now they don't have to be necessarily in college. This internship is available to anybody. Really, you're a commission salesman. If you think about it, this is a commission salesman employment position. And if either one of you ever get to the point, which I hope you do very soon, of earning commission, we're going to have to put you on the payroll. You're going to have to fill out an employee application, and we're going to get your W-9 and probably fill out I-9 information and start paying you normally. So this is a kind of like an introduction. If you know somebody who would like to do this with the possibility of gradually transitioning to a full-time position. And by the way, there's also the option of gradually transitioning past that to a full-time franchise owner. Our successful one there is Mr. Claudio. He can tell you about that. He was an employee for a year and then he became a franchise owner. So this system has worked before and is working now. So if you know anyone who you would suggest as a possible candidate, ask them to just go to our website. If you go to employeronomics.com/ I think it's virtual_internship or virtual-internship, something like that.
So based on my understanding is you're continuing to do these classes into the fall term.
Absolutely. Actually,
it's part-time. It's still like we do not get paid unless we get a client.
for purposes of this meeting, that is correct.
Okay.
If you are
And
in a full-time position where you're going to put in 40 hours a week minimum, let's talk.
okay.
I don't think
And
it's an option for anybody yet, is it?
well, with school, no.
Yeah. But if
So
you get to that point, Brooke, we'd love to have you. You know that. Shaka,
yeah.
we'd love to have you full-time. But you 2 need to finish your education. And once you do that, then we'll get down to real negotiations.
Yeah, because I think continuing on, I think is a good idea. And you mentioned something about a kind of what Carol does. Now, would that be considered a full-time or part-time position?
The internship would be part-time. You'd basically be assisting Carol with
Okay.
sales management. Now, I thought about you doing that because we talked about that before. But it would be nice if you actually had a client or two before you went into that.
I agree.
So it may be too soon, may not. I don't know. That really depends on what you think and how, how you feel about yourself. I'm not going to tell you can't do it. I think Kathleen and I will listen to your argument that you are ready for that. But so that's something we're kind of going to leave up to you.
Okay.
And I don't see why we won't continue this forever. This is inspiring everybody. It's getting us more in a team. I really like this intern thing, and I'm hoping that some of you become, well, eventually franchisees, full-time members of the team.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, if you know someone who you think is a good candidate, who you would like to bring aboard or like to extend an invitation to, have them go, it's virtual-internship, employernomics.com/virtual-internship. And they can apply there. And it's exciting because Carol's decided to go full-time helping us with this. So now it's not just me and Kathleen. Now we also have Carol, who has worked with Brooke and not Brooke, with Shakti and Seal a lot the last 2 weeks. Right. And Brooke, now that you're back, I'm sure she's going to want to talk to you too. You've had one conversation with her, right?
No, I was unable to talk to her when I was out of town. So I need to email her either today or tomorrow about what time she's available to talk this week.
And she's looking forward to talking to you. She's very excited about it.
Aw, that's so sweet.
I've never seen her this excited about the business as she is right now. So, and I thank you three for that.
Aw, thank you.
Getting her excited because she sees a chance. Here's what she told me. I said, "You've never been into it like this before." She goes, "Well, this is fun."
Aw.
So I think that's great. By the way, Claudio, if you want somebody to work with you, I know that you're pretty tied up right now, but in the future, if you should open up, get a little more time, and you want someone to work with you, it's here. The program is here if you want it.
Okay.
Okay, just keep that in mind because there's power in numbers. Okay, so the next topic was topic for today, and we're actually more than halfway through. Is we talked about hotspots, but not just the hotspots that are coming from T-Mobile, but what are the hotspots in HR right now, in HR outsourcing? What do we need to be bringing to the attention of the people we talk to?
I have no idea.
How about you if you thought about it? Well,
No, I've never thought about it.
Well, let's look at what we offer. We offer payroll, which is the biggest risk any employer has. If you mess up payroll, what happens?
You can get fined.
You can get fined. The IRS takes a dim view of people who mess up payroll, right? And when does the IRS let you know? It's not right away. No, they come back 2 or 3 years later and say, "Oh, by the way, we want to look at 3 years ago and see the mistake you made." Because then they get to charge you penalties and fines, which we need to deal with that. We're dealing with that right now. So payroll, and also, what if an employee gets paid improperly? shocked you. If your employer didn't pay you right, what would you do?
I'll get sad.
You get upset.
I
How-
get mad.
Yeah. Would you get a lawyer?
Get an attorney.
Possibly. I mean, I'm not one to sue anyone, but you know, I may quit.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the nature of the job too. If it
Yeah.
was like a part-time thing during like high school, right? I mean, I don't want to do anything over that. I don't really care enough about the what's happening there. It's mostly kind of passing time and doing what I need to do. But if it's like at an after college kind of occupation, then it's kind of a bit more serious maybe.
Let's,
Also about the hotspot thing you're mentioning, I wanted to ask because me and Brooke, we have no idea what are the what's going hotspots near each other. We have no idea. So I was going to ask was, is there any sources that you look at for like news regarding that we could also look for?
good question. You just earned your pay for today. I'll double it, in fact. Now, where do you look? There are places I look. There's some odd places, actually. There's a group called NAHU, NAHU.org, the National Association of Health Underwriters. It costs a pretty hefty penny to be a member, but you can get on their mailing list for nothing. And they send out pretty much daily mails. Let me just read one that came out today to you. They're talking about health benefits most of the time, but sometimes they're talking about there's a new company, RTO Benefits, which doesn't do health insurance, but does something called a defined benefits plan. What it is, this is hot right now. Defined benefits plans are hot. This is something that's cheaper than health insurance. It isn't health insurance, okay? In order for something to be health insurance, it has to cover the whole hospital stay, or at least to a certain amount. But there's some of these plans that have a fixed benefit. You've heard of Aflac, you've heard of Colonial. Now there's a bunch of them. This company, RTO Benefits, for example, they put out a system that says pays like $9,000 for a hospital stay. Pays $200 for a doctor visit, up to, $5,000 for an emergency room visit. It just has a fixed benefit. So it's not really insurance, but it's better than nothing. So it's something they're offering employees so they can have something. Because here's the hotspot that I was hoping one of the two of you or the four of you would bring up is it hard to find people to work today?
Yeah.
Until September, when that $300 a week runs out for unemployment, not everybody is as honest and has as much integrity as Brooke, who told me she's got to work because she doesn't want that on her resume that she didn't work during that whole time. Which, by the way, that's smart, because having a blank area on your resume where you didn't work is something you're going to have to explain in any job interview. So it's very difficult to get people to come to work, though, and it's also difficult to keep them. I think I just saw there's a McDonald's in Kissimmee that's offering $1,000 sign-up bonus. If you come to work at the McDonald's and you last 3 months, you get an extra $1,000. Anybody thinking about flipping burgers right now? You can get an extra $1,000 if you can last 3 months in Kissimmee. Okay, there's other, that's not rare. We're also hearing about places that are offering $200, $300, $500. But a lot of it's a buyer's market for jobs right now. So a lot of employers are wondering, what can I do not only to attract people, but to keep the ones I have? Okay, so benefits is a big area right now. That's a hot spot. Okay. What happens if, say, a restaurant brings in 10 new people, trains them all? And has anyone ever been through restaurant training?
No.
No, okay. Well, it's time consuming. You got to learn the menu. You got to learn the procedures. It takes at least a day or two, right? We've all been served when somebody's in training, right? Hi, I'm John. This is Kathleen. She's in training. She'll be assisting you, or she's serving you and I'm observing. I'm training her today. We've all seen that, right? So you know what that's like. People go through a training period. So what would it be like if you hire 10 new servers and in a week, 9 are gone? Is that a positive thing?
No.
No, it's a very negative thing and it's costly. So they have to have some way to keep people. One of the ways, which seems to be more important than salary right now, is benefits. Okay, we just heard about your shirts. Okay, Lindsay needs the information on the shirts. Did you see that?
I just emailed her.
Okay,
actually.
she responded already. So, all right, we're finding the shirt order got lost. We'll get that fixed. So benefits is a big thing. It's a hotspot. Trying to get people in, trying to get them to stay, trying to keep them. And who knows what's going to happen when we finally declare COVID over. Because there are still some states that aren't like Florida where it's pretty much over here. Now, there's a few holdouts. I think July 1st is when the Orange County mask mandate officially ends. Okay, although it turns out that people are letting you in without masks right now, but at some point this is going to be over, and then the lawyers are going to start wringing their hands, going, "Okay, let's see what kind of improprieties were committed during this whole thing." Right? What else? How about working virtually? You two are working virtually. Now, am I correct in assuming this is have you both had, have you had jobs where you had to be somewhere every morning before?
I had one of those, yeah. Before.
Say it again?
I've had one of those before. That was the first one. My first job was like that.
Were you more productive with that or with this?
I think I'm gaining more from this is what I should say, but that just makes sense because I don't really like the kind of be at like a fast food or retail job. I wouldn't just enjoy this as much as this. So it's not only fair for me to answer that question.
Fair enough. I do believe that this is going to be a thing now, that we're going to say hiring people virtual. We've already had, we just had to move someone from one PEO to another because they're hiring people all over the country. And they're now working in states where they need proof of workers' comp coverage that the PEO didn't have because they weren't in those states. And so they're in the process of moving to and I'm going to use air quotes, a national PEO. It's a PEO that has coverage all over. Now, Shakti brought up an interesting point last week. Before we go any further, is Brooke, I know that Claudio knows, I know that Kathleen knows, but do you know what workers' comp is?
Not in as much detail as I should.
Okay. There is an article on our website that talks about the ins and outs of workers' comp, which I am going to incorporate into the next, it's going to be one of the modules on the next class. And I'm going to put a link to it so you can review it. I'll put it in the chat. In a nutshell, all employers in the United States are required to compensate employees who are hurt while working, injured on the job. And And by the way, we've all seen the big heads on the dashboards, on the billboards, I mean, when you're driving along, saying, been injured in an accident or at work, give me a call, right? I'm sure John Morgan has even made it up to Ohio, hasn't he? If you've heard, I mean, there's accident attorneys.
No,
Work-
I have not heard of him.
Okay, well, he's nationwide. He's a world famous ambulance chaser. That's windy. Okay, so
Yeah, I'm outside.
so the attorneys are looking for people who have been hurt at work because there's a law that was put in, and I'll send this link out to everybody. Not recently, 100 years ago, that says anybody who's injured or hurt at work is entitled to three things. First of all, medical attention. Second of all, lost wages if they're away from work recovering. And third, attorney's fees if they have to hire a lawyer. Okay. And it's 100% guaranteed. If you're hurt at work and you hire an attorney and the case is accepted, the insurance company has to pay the attorney. In addition to paying all of your medical bills, plus up to 2/3 of your wages while you're not there. Okay. So a new insurance industry was born called workers' comp insurance, which would cover all this so the employer wouldn't have to. Let's say if one of you was hurt and sued me for workers' comp and I had to pay all your medical bills and all your lost wages, well, I mean, it would obviously bankrupt me. Okay. As an employer, I need to have workers' comp insurance to protect me against that. Okay. So workers' comp is an issue. Now, in some states, like Ohio, and I believe the W's, like Wyoming and Washington and West Virginia, the state handles it. You can only get workers' comp insurance from the state. The state has decided to take it over. Everybody's on the state fund in those states. Now, all the other states have a state fund, but the state fund is also called the assigned risk pool. It's where people go who can't get covered somewhere else. In Florida, we have something called the Joint Underwriting Alliance, or otherwise known as the JUA. You'll hear people mention JUA down here in Florida. That is the assigned risk pool for workers' comp in Florida. New York has the Workers' Comp Insurance Rating Board, the New York State Fund, which handles it in New York. California also has the same thing. They have a competitive state fund. It's not, there are still other carriers allowed in there, but the California State Fund is actually out there trying to win business. They're trying to be competitive with AIG, Zurich, and companies like that. So workers' comp is something that all employers are required to have at a certain point. In Florida, it's the third employee. If it's just you and two employees, you can get what's called an exemption. Unless you're in construction, then as soon as you have one employee, you have to have it. But if it's just, like a one-man army, a one-man contractor, he's probably not going to sue himself for an injury, so he can go apply for an exemption, which says he's exempt from having workers' comp. He's still required to cover all of his injuries. It's kind of silly, but he is required to cover his own injuries. So we have sold workers' comp to one-man armies before. We had AJ, we've had a couple people who needed workers' comp because they needed the certificate they need to prove they had coverage to work on some site. Because what happens is there's a procedure called climbing the ladder. Say, Shakti, I hire you to do painting, okay? And I send you out to a place where they're building homes, a new development. And you're up on the ladder and you're painting, right? You're painting and you miss a spot and you reach over and you fall off the ladder and you hurt your back. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Well, you are now a workers' comp claim because you were working, right? You fell, hurt your back. You now tell me, hey, I fell and hurt my back. How do I file a claim? Then I have to tell you who my insurance carrier is. And if I don't have one, I'll say, geez, I don't have one. So then you go get a lawyer, and the lawyer says, well, wait a minute, he isn't the prime contractor. Who's building the houses? And they say, oh, well, we're going to go talk to Lennar Homes. They're the ones building the houses. So they're going to file a claim against Lennar. And Lennar may turn around and file a claim against the major developer, you know, the investor up above who's building the development. So that's called climbing the ladder. The lawyers go up the ladder till they find somebody with money, basically. Because they want you to get your 2/3 wages. They want you to get all your medical bills paid. And of course, they want your attorney's fee paid. Okay. Because, you know, it's important to them to get paid. So does that explain a little bit more about workers' comp?
Definitely.
Okay, because I realized that I left that out, and that's my own fault. It's just because I came from comp into this industry. I was a workers' comp agent before I got into this industry. So it's my own stupid fault for not putting it in there. I'm going to add a module. Oh, by the way, and I'm going to say this often, it wouldn't be a bad idea to go back and look at all the modules again now that you've been in 2 months. Because it's now things that didn't make sense before, you might look at it and go, oh, okay, I get that now. If you have 10, 15 minutes just to scan through them real quick, it's a good idea to do that every couple of weeks, because it'll help you stay on top of your knowledge. Now, back to Shakti's class, how do we find out how do we find out what hotspots are? Because we went down a rabbit hole there. That's my fault. The nahu.org, I would suggest getting on their email list. There's other HR organizations that'll let you get on their email list for nothing. The Society for Human Resource Management, SHRM, will let you do that, although I think they're terrible, but you can get information from them. They are very much anti-employer and very pro-employee.
So they mean like terrible as in like their attitude, but good in their information?
Well, let's just say their information is tilted in one direction.
Okay.
They're basically showing employees how they can sue their employers. If your employer does this, you need to file a claim. If your employer does this, you need to sue. They're employees advocates. Okay, they're not. And now one thing to remember is that we're not against employees, but we are for employers. We don't want to suppress employees in any way, but we want small businesses to succeed. That's why people come to us, right? They want to succeed. They don't want to be, they don't want us coming in and telling their employees how they can sue them. That's not our job. And it really isn't SHRM's job either, but they do it. Okay, what else is a good place? NAPEO.org, the National Association of PEOs, NAPEO.org is a good place to check in once in a while. You can follow them on LinkedIn. They have articles once in a while. There's other HR groups. There's groups on LinkedIn that share articles stuff. There's private groups on Facebook that talks about HR all the time. You can find out things. There used to be something called the Insurance Fraud Digest. I haven't seen it in a while, but I stopped getting emails from them, but I think it's still out there, but now it's a LinkedIn group, Insurance Fraud Digest. And it talks about the latest insurance scam. And frequently it talks about health insurance and workers' comp, which we're concerned about. So you do get some trends. But the best way is you can ask us, what are you seeing? You can ask other health agents, what are you seeing? Ask property and casualty agents, what are you seeing going on in the industry? What's the most interesting request you're seeing now that you weren't seeing before? And I'll tell you that as a PEO broker, the one I'm seeing the most is, how do I hire somebody out of state and make sure the taxes get paid right? How do I make sure I'm paying that state's minimum wage? We're hearing that. How do I make sure they're covered? How do I get the workers' comp for that other state? And that's where the answer is a PEO. And again, this gets into, Shakti, what we talked about last week, the technology. Because our matchmaker allows us to put that in there saying, this client needs to hire people out of state, wants to make sure they're being paid properly, the minimum wage, wants to make sure they're having, the proper workers' comp coverage and benefits, et cetera. And so we put that in the description in the matchmaker. And when that gets sent out to the PEOs, which they get instantly, then that factors into their decision on whether to bid on it or not. So that is a piece of technology that we are at the leading edge on, is that matchmaker. And I said it last week or 2 weeks ago, and I'll say it this week. If you're not on the leading edge of technology, you're behind somebody. Not a good place to be. Can you think of is there any other place you can think of? How about you, Claudio? Is there any place you would look to find out what's going on?
Just talk to people, talk to business owners. That's how I look. What worries you as a business owner? What are things that worry you with your employees? And let them bring it out. And that way you discover pain at the same time. And if you don't, then I understand you don't have any of those issues. Do you know any of your business friends that have those issues?
That's excellent. That works, as you have proven these last few months that works. Yes, just talking to business owners. What keeps you up at night? Once you own a business, you have different concerns, especially small businesses, especially today, seem to have a target on their back. And it's not because people hate small businesses. They don't hate small businesses. Everyone in Washington will tell you they love small businesses. But if they need to go get money, if they try to go to large businesses, what do they run into? Lobbies, big legal law firms, the big companies, the GEs, the Pepsi, Boeing, all those large, General Motors, all those large companies have big lobbies. They have lots of lawyers. They have ways to avoid paying taxes, okay? The small business owner is not as well protected as they are. So when they need to go raise money for taxes, they're looking at two places. And this is whether the Republicans or Democrats, by the way. The party does not matter to this. They look in two places. They look in middle class, and they look at middle class people and small business owners. Because those are the people that are not that well represented. The rich people are well represented. They have expensive accountants, that help them avoid paying taxes. The poor people don't have any money, okay? So the middle class is the big target. They have some money and they don't know how to protect themselves, or they don't have the same resources available. Same with small business owners. It's not a political thing, it's just a money thing, okay? So this is where we come along helping. When we help small businesses, we realize that they need a partner to help protect them. So if they can partner with Employernomics and in turn with a PEO behind us, and PEOs are medium-sized to large businesses, some of them that we work with, certainly TriNet's huge. They're the fourth largest PEO in the world. Total Source is the largest PEO in the world. Paychex is now second largest because they bought Oasis. So we work with companies like them. Now they have a big brother. You're getting bullied at school? Let me bring along my big brother. Somebody work out a way to do that. That would be cool. Since the government's bullying you, let the PEO be your big brother to come along and protect you from the bullies. Does that answer your question, Shaki? If I think of any other places to look where I'm getting information, I'll let you know. But sometimes just a good search like HR trends. Type that into your search engine, HR trends. It's amazing. You'll see a lot of garbage come up, but you'll see some good stuff too. Okay, so that's how we find hotspots. But those are the ones I'm finding, is that people want to know how to hire people out of state. They want to know how to keep the people they have. They want to know how to attract more people. So benefits are becoming more important now than they were in the past. They've always been somewhat important, but now they're really important. Can you think of anything else? Multi-state coverage is a big thing because people are now, with the virtual aspect, or just not. People are now expanding into other states. Okay, I like to do, I didn't do wins and losses because Shakti, you and Brooke, you and I were just in a class and we did that an hour ago. Claudio, have you anything you wanted to share, a win or a loss in the last 2 weeks since we last talked?
Nope, nothing.
Have you heard anything more from that plumbing contractor?
Yeah, he's been in bed sick because he got bronchitis without insurance. So I'm letting him come around because now I'm gonna offer him, hey, now you can come on board and possibly get health insurance.
I like that plan. Okay.
So I'm letting him come back to me now. I stopped chasing.
Yeah. How about you? No. Okay. So takeaways from today. Kathleen. Nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing. She hears me say all this stuff all day long. So if you think of something, you can come back in. Claudio, takeaway from today.
Have a conversation with business owners. Nowadays, they're a little bit defensive. Any question that you ask is going to try to push away. I already got that covered. So try to have an angle which is different than everybody else. Yeah, I'm not trying to sell you anything. How's your business going? Let them talk. It's their baby. Let them come out and say, you know, I was talking to somebody that's having problems looking for a place to reopen his business. He got kicked out of his lease. Not trying to sell him anything. Hey, I've seen a couple of places down the road in this shopping center. They've been good. Now you created a trusted advisor position rather than a salesman.
You know, I like that. It's just, or a simple question like say, don't be confrontational or don't be salesy, but just say, hey, I know you're good, but what are you hearing lately? What are you hearing from other business owners? What seems to be the changes? Where are the problems going to be a month from now? Everybody likes to get out their crystal ball, I tell you. I like that, Claudia.
Well, I was talking to a gentleman that has a boat brokerage, boat salesman basically. And one of the things that he's running into right now is he has boats without motors. So, you know, I kind of told him, you're in the canoe business now. And we just started talking, but that's a conversation opener for anybody else that has a business. Because now, you know, I talked to somebody else that was distributing meats. They've had to change where they're getting their products from. So it's like anything else. It's their baby. If you show a little bit of interest, they're willing to open up. And after that, you're like, okay, well, you probably got it covered, but do you know any of your friends that might need payroll or might need comp or anything like that? You're not trying to sell to them. You're trying to help them.
Or they might even ask you, what is it you do? You know, it's interesting you're asking about that. But I like that. You can say, like, what do you hear lately? For example, I just heard about a boat dealer he's got lots of boats, but he doesn't have engines. He doesn't have motors. You hear about anything like that going on? That's a good opener. I'm going to use that. Stolen. I'll put a big like on it so you know I stole it.
I'll send you the bill. It's called copyright.
You'll get a couple pens. Okay. Shakti, take away.
I guess the main thing was from my question, right? So I have a better idea of where I can, you know, access, like, so hopefully for next time I might be able to actually say something rather than, you know, just no, I don't. I haven't heard because I don't know where to look. But now since I've gotten some resources,
think about where you are compared to where you were 2 months ago, and just imagine what you're going to be like in another month. So you're making a lot of progress. Don't belittle that. Okay, Brooke, what about you?
Definitely the review of workers' comp.
Oh yeah, I'll send that link out.
Because I feel like I often forget that side. That's like a huge part of what we do. And when I talk to people, I tend to forget about workers' comp, but to focus more on asking questions about payroll or HR. So I need to incorporate that more in my conversations.
Great. All right, that's everything. Does anybody got anything else before we leave? It's 11:45, it's just past that, isn't it? Yeah, 11:50.
No, but do we have class next Monday?
That's a good question. It's 5th of July. No, we won't do class.
Okay, thank you.
We'll figure out something else. We're gonna do the one-on-ones on Wednesday. On both this week and next week, and everybody try to make the Friday 4:30. Okay, because that's a good one. We could do it there. We could do a little bit of a talk there. Yeah, we will not have a class next Monday.
Okay, thank you.
All right, gang. Talk to you,
Bye.
Shakti and Brooke, talk to you Wednesday.